The stronger one decides what is right, and with this belief, the demons clashed with each other in a bloody battle. All the demons were on the brink of extinction, but then all of them were forced to yield to an overwhelming power, and the demon world was united for the first time in history by a demon king, the strongest demon king in demon history, whose name was Hiram. 20 years after conquering the whole demon world, Hiram was confronted by the demon world's highest authority, the demon god. A bright light appeared in front of his throne, and from the light, the demon god appeared. The demon god asked Hiram in a furious tone why he was disobeying his divine order. The demon god's divine order was that Hiram must offer hundreds of his subjects' lives every day to the demon god. But even though it was a direct order from the demon god himself, Hiram could not accept it. Hiram replied to the demon god that the demon world belonged to him. He asked the god to retreat back to the land of gods. This made the demon god so furious that he called Hiram a fool for opposing a god. The god's spiritual body changed into flesh and blood. Then, with a creepy smile, the demon god told Hiram that he was nothing but a mere demon who dared to challenge a god and that he should know his place. Hiram replied that a mere god should not meddle in their world, and that he was the one who should know his place. After that, the battle between the strongest demon king in history and the demon god began. The demon king's powerful magic and the demon god's divine might clashed. Their battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights, but in the end, Hiram successfully destroyed the demon god's divine body and pinned him down to the ground, bound. He placed his foot on the demon god's face and told him that once someone entered his world, they were bound by that world's natural laws, and that was the cause of the demon god's defeat. The demon god started laughing and called him a fool. He addressed him as the foolish king of demons. The demon god asked Hiram if he really thought that he could defeat the demon god who ruled over all demons. Hiram told the demon god that he was the one lying on the ground. The demon god replied that as long as he was a demon, it was only natural that he could not escape the palm of the demon god's hand, and that his birth as a demon was the cause of his defeat. Hiram got furious and asked the demon god what he was talking about. The demon god told Hiram that he should be proud of himself, since he had managed to drive him into a corner despite being just a demon. Then the demon god whispered the word die, and the demon king Hiram's body started crumbling on its own. The demon god got up on his feet and told him that he was really impressed that a living creature of the demon world had driven him to use his divine punishment. Hiram asked him what he meant by divine punishment. The demon god told him that he did not mean it in a non-literal way, and that he had power over life and death for the demons under his rule. Hiram's body completely broke down and vanished into thin air. After that, the demon god also ascended towards the sky. Just after a while, a little demon girl walked to Hiram's leftover clothes. She picked them up with tears in her eyes. Many years passed since the demise of the demon king Hiram. Somewhere on a remote island, which was a month's walk from the demon king's castle, there lay a white stone in a pitch-black room. The stone is in the shape of a dodecahedron, and on its faces, ancient characters are engraved. The white stone began to glow faintly, and then suddenly, the stone began to automatically create magic circles. From within those magic circles, a lone child was born, a baby boy. The baby boy says in a baby-like voice that the reincarnation was a success. Before Hiram's defeat in the battle with the demon god, he developed a reincarnation technique. He had every intention of winning, but his opponent was a god, so he took into account the very rare possibility that he would lose. The only things that can be inherited during reincarnation are one's mind and soul, and things closely linked with the mind, such as one's magic circuitry, which means that after reincarnation, his body is brand new, as is the brain that rules over his thoughts. This can lead to extreme confusion until his mind and soul have taken root in his new body and brain. He realizes that if he stays in this new baby condition, then he will definitely starve to death. He uses his spell to promote his growth, and suddenly turns into a boy. He was racked with extremely intense growing pains. It felt as if every bone in his body had broken. He says that he did not think it would hurt that much. It was a place his previous version created specifically for a given condition, and he personally cast a strong protective spell on it so no one could enter and prepared equipment only for himself. Then he produces clothes with his magic. He wonders how many years have passed. He had set the timer so that he would reincarnate 10 years after his death, but he is worried that the reincarnation did not trigger exactly 10 years later due to the spell's high degree of difficulty. He checks how many years have passed. He was so shocked to discover that it has been 500 years. He realized that the technique malfunctioned due to the fact that he forcefully changed his race to that of a human. He adjusted the technique's formula at the instant of his death. After learning about the demon god's divine punishment, which allows the demon god to kill any demon in an instant, he understood that humans are considered the weakest of all races. This is because their development is slow and their lifespans are short due to the lack of a god's blessing. If one of them has the blessing of a god, then they will have more mana. The more mana one possesses, the slower they age and the longer their lifespan will be. Due to lacking any blessings and having very little mana, humans weaken and die of old age long before they can become strong. But humans have one thing: they have the greatest potential and the fastest rate of growth. For that reason, if one reincarnates into a human with all their battle experience from a previous life, then humans are overwhelmingly powerful. That is the reason he chose to reincarnate as a human without hesitation. Hiram says with a confident smile that he does not have any hard evidence to support his theory, but since he does not have any horns, this means that he successfully managed to reincarnate as a human. He looks at his hand and says that this is what it feels like to be a human. He also says that it does not feel that bad, but he is not completely used to it yet. He wants to see if he is really the strongest. 500 years might have passed, but his goal is still the same, which is to kill the demon god. He decides to head outside the place, but suddenly, the door opens by itself. He wonders if the seal on the door has been broken from the outside. As he walks out, his eyes meet a beautiful young elf lady. The elf is also shocked to find him in such a place. She asks him what he is doing in a place like that. She tells him that a menacing dragon is dwelling at the top of the mountain. She also tells him that being there would only lead to his death. Hiram asks the lady who she is. He also introduces himself as Hiram. The lady tells him that her name is Lumiere and that she has come to kill that dragon. Then she gets a notification from her bracelet. She sticks the bracelet close to her ear and receives a notice. Then she tells Hiram that due to some urgent business, she has to go somewhere before she can slay the dragon, and that she was hoping to escort him to the foot of the mountain, but it is not possible anymore. She asks him if he can go back by himself. Hiram replies that he can surely do that. Lumiere runs away, telling him to be careful and not overexert himself. She also tells him that if he wants, then he can stay there and she will come for him once her mission is complete, and that he must not head further up the mountain. Hiram replies with a smile that he will definitely be fine, and that she will not have to worry about him. After the lady goes away, Hiram smirks and says that the dragon must be an ancient one. While moving around, he detected the presence of a creature with a tremendous amount of mana, and no doubt it was an ancient dragon, the supreme species of dragon. From its high level of mana, it had to be one of the stronger ancient dragons in existence. Hiram heads inside a large cave. He says that it is exactly what he needs. His new body is still not accustomed to his mana, and so the fastest way to solve that problem would be through combat. He walks to the core of the cave, and there finds a huge dragon. Hiram addresses the dragon as an ancient dragon of unknown name. He challenges the dragon to a death battle. The dragon instantly forms a huge fireball and shoots it at Hiram. But Hiram creates a magic barrier in front of him and blocks the fireball with just one single hand. The dragon flies around, shooting flames at him, but every time, Hiram blocks the attack with his magic barrier. Then Hiram grabs the dragon by its tooth and lifts it into the air. Then he slams the dragon so hard onto the ground, making it unable to move. Hiram says that his physical enhancement magic has gotten much stronger, and he is now sure that becoming a human was the right choice. The ancient dragon clenches his teeth and then suddenly jumps at Hiram to eat him. But then Hiram again casts a spell, and the dragon is hit by a beam from above. After this, the dragon surrenders to Hiram and bows to him. The dragon tells Hiram that he is lost, and that Hiram can do whatever he wants with him. Hiram asks the dragon to get up and says that he is really surprised that dragons can speak a human language. The dragon says that he is an intelligent dragon, so he can do that. Then Hiram asks the dragon if he is so young, since he is so soft-spoken. The dragon agrees and says that he is around 6 years old. Hiram tells him that he is too young, but still incredibly strong. The dragon asks Hiram if he is after his treasure and why he is not taking it already. Hiram replies that he is not even a bit interested in his treasure. The dragon questions him again, saying that if he is not after the treasure, then he must be after his body. Hiram thinks to himself that the dragon speaks so bravely and that he likes people with that kind of personality. He asks the dragon about his name. The dragon introduces himself with pride, saying that his name is Scorching Flame Dragon Jorm. Hiram tells him that having 2 names means that he has won a duel against another powerful possessor of 2 names. and that having two names at such a young age is really an achievement. Yorm starts wagging his tail like a puppy. He tells Hiram that he knows a lot for a human. Then Yorm asks Hiram about his name. Hiram instantly replies with only one word, Hiram. This one word is enough to make Jorm sweat. Jorm asks him if he means that he is the great demon king Hiram who once slew the demon god. Hiram agrees with Jorm. Jorm asks him if this is his reincarnated form, and if he was able to cast a reincarnation spell before he died during the fight with the demon god. He also says that it would be extremely difficult, but that it should not be that hard for the demon king. Hiram asks Jorm how he knows about all that. Jorm says that he was the first demon who managed to strike down the demon god, and that they call him the Great Demon King, Slayer of the Demon God. Jorm also says that this is the reason his father told him to stay on the mountain. Hiram asks him since when his father ordered that. Jorm replies that it was about 500 years ago, when he was still with his father. Hiram asks Jorm if he ever met him when he was the Demon King. Jorm asks Hiram if he remembers the name Jormungandr. Hiram suddenly recalls that name. Jorm says that Jormungandr is none other than his own father, and that he was able to meet Hiram when he was really young. Hiram recalls that the great demon dragon king Jormungandr was the ancient dragon he defeated in a contest of strength. He was the strongest dragon Hiram fought in his past life, and he was also a close friend and advisor to Hiram. Since Jormungandr was an elder ancient dragon who had lived for tens of thousands of years, he possessed both strength and wisdom, and Hiram had also requested him to be his counselor. Most probably it was Jormungandr who made Jorm stay on the mountain and protect his grave. Hiram tells Jorm that it was his father who first suggested that he reincarnate as a human. His father told Hiram that if he ever lost to the demon god, then he should reincarnate as a human being. At that time, Hiram thought that the risk of doing that was extremely high, since the reincarnation spell is incredibly difficult and has a very low chance of success. The success rate decreases even more when one attempts to reincarnate into a different race, and as a result, he had only constructed a technique that would reincarnate him as a demon. But at the instant he was struck down by the divine punishment of the demon god, he changed the technique in order to reincarnate into something other than a demon. It was Jormungandr's further advice that made him choose a human being for reincarnation. Then Hiram asks Jorm why he was named the Great Demon King, Slayer of the Demon God, since he was the one who lost to the demon god. Jorm agrees with him and says that after the fight, the demon god's spiritual body came close to death as a result of using his divine punishment. This piques Hiram's interest, and he asks Jorm to tell him everything he knows. Jorm further says that divine punishment is an attack that uses the existential concept of a god, and it is incredibly powerful, but the backlash is equally severe. He says that if one hits a physical object with an existential concept, then the concept itself can develop cracks. Hiram understands what Jorm is saying. He says that the demon god's divine punishment cannot be used against humans. Jorm agrees and says that because the blessings of the gods act like a channel, divine punishment does not affect humans since they lack any blessings. Then Hiram asks Jorm what happened to the demon god. Jorm replies that his father hypothesized that the demon god is inside a cocoon somewhere he created, and that his spiritual body is so damaged that he cannot return to the spirit world. Hiram concludes that this means the demon god is hiding somewhere in this world. He thanks Jorm for this useful information. Then Hiram notices that Jorm is still bowing to him. He asks Jorm what he is doing. Jorm replies that he feels no shame in being defeated by the great demon king Hiram, who once challenged the demon god. Jorm asks Hiram what he thinks of him. Hiram replies that he is really strong. Jorm says that he is greatly honored to hear that from Hiram's mouth, and that if Hiram ever meets his father, then Jorm would be really grateful if Hiram tells his father that Jorm fought bravely. Then Jorm tells Hiram that Hiram can kill him without any hesitation. Hiram raises his hand toward Jorm and asks him to serve him and join him in his conquest. Jorm wonders what Hiram means by conquest. Hiram says that he is not going to stop after merely killing the demon god, and that he is also going to conquer the world once again. Jorm asks him if he is really telling the truth. Hiram replies that he will never lie about something like that. Then Jorm tells him that he will dedicate both his pride as an ancient dragon and his life to serve Hiram, and that he will accompany him forever. After that, Jorm transforms into a cute little dragon and hops onto Hiram's shoulder. Hiram tells Jorm that he is really skilled. Jorm replies that it is because he is an ancient dragon. Then he asks Hiram what he should do. Hiram tells Jorm that he does not have any particular job for him at the moment, but that they will have to find the location of the demon god before they get started. Jorm says that he has an idea. He proposes making use of the treasure that he is protecting. Hiram asks Yorm if he is really okay with that, since collecting treasure is a beloved hobby of dragons. Yorm replies that he is not really interested in collecting treasure, and that he thinks all of that treasure belongs to Hiram himself. Hiram says that he also recalls telling Jormungandr about the location of his treasure. As they enter the treasure room, Hiram asks Yorm if he collected all that. Yorm replies that the stuff he collected is next to the treasure. He flies to his collected stuffs, which includes weapons of many soldiers he killed. Hiram looks at all of them and asks Yorm if he likes such things. He thinks that it seems dragons also have different tastes like humans. He asks Yorm if the rest of the treasure belongs to Jormungandr. Yorm replies that his father left it there before he disappeared. And before disappearing, he also told Yorm that if Yorm lived there for a long time, then one day, something interesting would happen, and he would finally learn how to use those treasure. Yorm adds that he is sure that by interesting thing his father was referring to Hiram's reincarnation and then their meeting. Hiram thinks to himself that Jormungandr built a nest to protect his grave, and once Yorm grew up, he departed, leaving the treasure behind. He still feels curious about what Jormungandr is doing at the moment. He hopes that he will get to see him soon. Then Yorm brings him a pendant. Yorm tells Hiram that his father told him to take proper care of that pendant. As soon as Hiram sees the pendant, he asks Yorm to bring it to him. He takes a look at the pendant and says that it is the counterpart to the necklace he gave to his adopted daughter, Filthy. Yorm tells him that Jormungandr told him to keep it safe, since it belongs to Hiram. It is something Hiram typically carried around with him in the past. It is a magic tool that he could use to immediately locate Filthy. The color of the light lets him know her condition. She was a demon girl who had very high potential. The blue light in the pendant is still flickering, which means that Filthy is still alive. However, the part that indicates her location is unclear. Hiram asks Yorm if his father told him anything about Filthy. Yorm refuses. Hiram makes a sad face and says that he understands. Yorm asks Hiram what he means. Hiram says that even though he does not know Filthy's real location, he at least knows that she is alive. He tells Yorm that they are going to find Filthy while they are looking for the demon god. Yorm says that he will do his best. Among the piles of treasure in Yorm's collection, there was a magic tool called a magic bag. It is something like Doraemon's pocket, which can store many things, and no matter how much stuff is put inside the bag, it will never get heavy. Hiram stores all of the treasure Jormungandr left behind in that magic bag, and both of them depart to look for the demon god. Somewhere in the mountain, Lumiere is fighting a giant monster. She tries to slay the monster, but at that moment, her sword breaks. While traveling through the forest, Yorm tells Hiram that if they keep following the road, they will eventually come across a town where humans live. Hiram asks Yorm who rules that region now, and Yorm replies that after Hiram's death, the country was split apart and fell into war. Just then, Hiram's eyes fall upon an orc standing on the road. He tells Yorm that it looks like an orc lord, and Yorm says he has never heard of orcs standing around without reason. Hiram suggests leaving the road, but at that moment, he notices Lumiere still fighting the orc. Lumiere draws her sword with pride, points it at the orc, and declares that it is her duty to take the orc's life. Hiram recognizes Lumiere instantly, and when Yorm asks if he knows her, Hiram replies that he met her once at his grave, where she said she would come to slay Yorm. Yorm remarks that she seems overly confident as the battle continues. Lumiere narrowly dodges the orc's strike, and Yorm tells Hiram that Lumiere is an elf hero who is still immature. Hiram replies that despite that, she is quite skilled with the sword, and that if she is truly a hero, it would not be strange for her to have broken the seal on his grave, since he is the demon king. Yorm then tells the Blue Maid that they should kill her while they still can, as she may become an obstacle once she matures. At that moment, Lumiere's sword breaks, but she still charges forward, trying to stab the orc with the broken blade. The orc punches her hard, sending her flying. Hiram explains that heroes cannot use ordinary magic, and instead possess an immensely powerful unique spell, but Lumiere is still unaware of her true nature and cannot use it. Just as the orc is about to crush her with his wooden bat, Hiram intervenes, telling Yorm that he plans to save the baby hero. In an instant, he pierces his hand into the orc's chest and pulls out its heart. Afterward, Hiram tells Lumiere that if she cannot use magic, she must at least wield a high-quality sword. Lumiere is shocked to see him there and thanks him with a smile. She praises his strength, saying that even though he is human, he must have gone through incredible training. Hiram looks away and says, "It is something like that." Lumiere calls him her lifesaver and promises never to forget what he has done, and Hiram replies that if she wishes to show gratitude, she can teach him the common knowledge of the country explaining that he has lived in the mountains in complete solitude since birth, and that this is his first time going out. Lumiere smiles and says she will teach him everything she knows. At that very moment, many orcs suddenly emerge from the bushes. Hiram asks Lumiere if she did something to draw the orcs' attention, but she replies that she did not. She explains that while she was hunting a dragon, she received a request for help from a merchant. The request said that an orc lord was blocking the road, preventing merchants from passing through, and that all nearby merchants were worried. Hiram tells Lumiere that in such a situation, she should head directly to the merchants and protect them, while he takes care of the orcs. He pulls a sword from his magic bag and hands it to her, saying it would be difficult to protect the merchants without one. Lumiere hesitates, but Hiram tells her not to be shy, and reminds her that she has already seen how strong he is, so he will be fine on his own. Lumiere bows to him and tells him that she will leave the place to him, then heads toward the merchants. After she leaves, Hiram apologizes to Joram for giving away the sword without permission. Joram replies that he does not mind, since he already gave all his treasures to Hiram. Soon after, numerous orcs charge at Hiram. He calmly counts their number, then raises his hand and creates 104 magic bullets, firing them toward the orcs. Every single orc vanishes on the spot. Joram witnesses Hiram's power and tells him that he is truly incredible. Hiram replies that what he just used was only an elementary spell. He then tells Joram that since the orcs are gone, they should go after Lumiere. Joram agrees, saying that heroes may be troublesome, but they are also valuable sources of information. Meanwhile, Lumiere successfully cuts down 3 or 4 orcs while protecting the merchants. Suddenly, she is struck by an arrow. When she looks back, she realizes that the one who shot her was none other than a merchant. One of the merchants mocks her, saying that she is an idiot for not realizing she had been tricked. The merchants surround her and examine her sword. One of them remarks that it is a fine blade and that they could earn a lot of money by selling it. Another agrees and suggests leaving Lumiere there to be eaten by orcs. Someone else adds that it would be a waste to let the orcs have her right away, and that they should have some fun first. Lumiere asks them why they are doing this. One merchant pulls out a knife, presses it against her cheek, and tells her that they are doing it for money, and that there is no better feeling than seeing the hopeless expressions of people like her who have never known hardship. Suddenly, they all hear Hiram's voice telling them to leave Lumiere alone. He walks out of the forest confidently, with Yorm on his shoulder. The merchants ask who he is, and Hiram replies that he is just a normal human passing by. The leader of the merchants says that Hiram may look weak, but since he is young, he would sell for a good price in the market. He orders the others to capture Hiram and turn him into a slave. In response, Hiram punches the leader in the face, sending him flying. The remaining merchants rush at him together, but Hiram remains completely unfazed. After some time, Lumiere opens her eyes and finds Hiram sitting in front of her, asking if she is all right. He reassures her that everything is fine. Lumiere thanks him again, and Hiram gently pats her head before healing her instantly. Lumiere says that she feels much better, but then faints on the spot. Hiram looks at his hand and remarks that the healing and endurance spells were too strong, causing her to lose consciousness. Yorm tells him that while he was not very good at healing magic as a demon, his healing magic has become quite powerful now that he is human. Hiram says that he needs to be more careful. He then stands up and says that he should clean up this mess before heading into town. As he walks toward the merchant leader, the man says that Hiram is a human and should not be protecting an elf, claiming that they are on the same side. Hiram calmly replies that it was the merchant himself who said he would enslave Hiram and sell him. Hiram opens the merchant's bag and finds a magic tool used to attract orcs. He also notices that the leader of the merchants is wearing a magic tool designed to repel monsters. Seeing this, Hiram immediately understands what it means. He realizes that the orc raid was a trap meant to kill Lumiere, and that these people were not true merchants but imposters pretending to be ones. He had already found it strange that an orc lord was standing in the middle of the road, only for a pack of orcs to attack suddenly afterward. Hiram also notes that the tool used to attract the orcs is fairly powerful, and clearly not something a lowly group of bandits could acquire. From this, he concludes that the orcs were being controlled through a large amount of mana, and that the one controlling them is the true mastermind attempting to kill Lumiere. Grabbing the merchant by the cheek, Hiram demands to know who sent them. Hiram grabs the bandit's finger and snaps it. The bandit shouts in pain and says that he does not know anything. Hiram says that he is definitely lying and asks again who sent him. He snaps another finger and says that he is sure a skill mage is involved. The bandit screams in pain and insists that he does not know anything at all. Yorm asks Hiram if he thinks the bandits are telling the truth. Hiram replies that it seems so to him. He also says that they should head into the city. Then he walks to Lumiere and lifts her up. Yorm asks him if it would not be better to leave her behind. Hiram asks Yorm if he knows what he is holding in his hand. Yorm asks if it is a monster-repelling magic tool. Hiram agrees and says that the one next to the bandit is a monster-attracting magic tool. Whether the bandits survive or not is now a matter of pure luck. As Hiram walks through the forest, Lumiere regains consciousness. She tells Hiram that she can walk on her own. Hiram helps her stand up and asks if she is feeling better. She agrees and thanks him for lending her the sword in the fight. Hiram tells her that she can keep the sword and the coat forever. Lumiere says that she cannot possibly accept such valuable items. Hiram tells her that if she wants to return them, she can do so after they reach the city. Lumiere agrees and says she will do that. She then asks about the merchants. Hiram tells her that they were not merchants but bandits, and that he left them behind, with orcs lurking nearby, so they might get eaten. Yorm tells Hiram that heroes really are good-natured. Hiram tells Lumiere that if she is worried, then after reaching the city she can gather people and come back for them, since they cannot carry 10 people on their own. Lumiere agrees and says that she was ordered to eliminate the ancient dragon in the mountain but failed. Hiram tells her that he forgot about that. Yorm tells Hiram that no matter how much of a hero Lumiere is, there is no way she could defeat someone of that level. Hiram then tells Lumiere that after they met, he spoke with the dragon and convinced it to leave the mountain. Lumiere is confused and wonders how a dragon could agree to such a thing. Hiram tells her that if she does not believe him, she can send an investigation team after reaching the city. Lumiere says that she has no reason to doubt his words. Hiram tells her that since it was an order, she will need proof that she carried it out. Lumiere agrees, and Hiram says that it would be better to have someone else verify it. He then tells her that he has many questions to ask. Lumiere replies with a smile that she promised to teach him the general knowledge of the country. She says that the country is called the Otaku Kingdom. Hiram says that the kingdom's name is the same as her surname. Lumiere agrees and says that she is the king's daughter and his eldest child. Hiram then understands why the bandits set a trap for Lumiere. Hiram says that he has many questions but wants to know about the country first. Lumiere explains that the Otaku Kingdom is a great power that united the continent 100 years ago, and that elves govern the social hierarchy, followed by beastmen and dwarves, with humans at the bottom. She also says that elves have oppressed humans and that she is part of the elven royal family. She adds that the bandits hated her, which is why they targeted her. Then nervously asks Hiram if he also hates her for being an elf. Hiram asks Lumiere if she believes suppressing humans is right. Lumiere replies that she would never think that way. Hiram looks at her and says that she does not seem confident in her own words. Lumiere replies that as royalty, she feels personally responsible for not being able to stop the elves from doing such things, even though there is little she can do. Hiram says that this means she is not actively participating in the oppression of humans and is also trying to stop it. Lumiere agrees. Hiram smiles and says that in that case, he has no reason to hate her. He tells her that there are bad elves and bad humans alike, just like the bandits they faced earlier. Lumiere smiles and thanks him for his words. While walking toward the kingdom, Hiram asks Lumiere if there is a country ruled by a demon king. Lumiere replies that she has heard of a distant demon continent that was once ruled by a demon king. Hiram points out that she did not mention demons when explaining social classes. Lumiere replies that there are no demons in this country, and that 200 or 300 years ago there was a fierce war between elves and demons. She says that the demons were extremely strong and inflicted massive damage on the elves, but in the end, the elves expelled them from the continent. She adds that the elves reclaimed the land and call it a holy war. Then Lumiere asks Hiram if he has anywhere to stay. Hiram replies that he does not have any such place, since he just left the mountain. Lumiere offers him to stay at her place. She says that she can offer him 3 meals, a bath, and a warm bed. Hiram replies that it sounds like a perfect idea. He tells her that in that case, he will introduce her to Yorm. He asks Yorm to come down. Yorm lands on the ground, looking gloomy. Lumiere becomes excited to see Yorm, as he looks like a baby dragon, and she asks Hiram if she can pet him. Hiram replies that she can. All of them then enter the kingdom. All the merchants are happy to see the princess. They gather around Lumiere and tell her that they are glad she is back. They tell her to give up on killing the ancient dragon, as it is impossible for anyone to kill an ancient dragon since they are practically gods. Lumiere tries to reassure them, but Hiram notices soldiers whispering to each other. Lumiere tells the crowd that it was Hiram who convinced the ancient dragon to leave the mountain. Everyone gathers around Hiram and thanks him. It takes him 30 minutes to get away from the crowd. Yorm tells Hiram that Lumiere is well liked by the human residents, but none of the knights came to greet her. After walking for a while, they arrive at a small mansion. Hiram asks Lumiere if this is her residence. Lumiere tells him that it was given to her when she was appointed commander of the knights. All the maids in the mansion welcome Lumiere. She tells Hiram to be comfortable and think of the mansion as his own home. She then tells him that dinner is ready and that they should eat together. Yorm excitedly jumps onto the table and drinks the chicken soup in one gulp. A maid hands Hiram a cup of tea. Lumiere then asks Hiram how he is so good at healing magic even though he is just a human. Hiram replies that it is the result of a lot of battle experience and training. Hiram asks her if she is worried because she cannot use magic herself. Lumiere is shocked and asks him how he knows. Hiram replies that when her sword broke, she did not try to use a spell, which is unusual for an elf. Lumiere puts her cup of tea on the table and says with a gloomy face that his assumption is correct and that she cannot use magic. She adds that she joined the military to fulfill her duty as a member of the royal family and was appointed commander of the Third Knight Order, but the knights do not follow her orders because she cannot use magic. Lumiere also says that she has been called an incompetent princess and a disgrace to the royal family. Hiram says that he now understands why she went to eliminate the dragon by herself. Lumiere suddenly stands up and asks Hiram to teach her how to use magic. Hiram asks her why she wants to learn from him. She tells him that even though humans are the worst at magic, Hiram's healing magic was far better than that of elves, who are especially skilled at healing, and that she respects him for it. Yorm tells Hiram not to do this since she is a hero. Hiram tells Yorm that this will only make things more interesting. He then tells Lumiere that he will be completely honest with her and that he is not sure she will believe him. He says that while his training is not a lie, it was not done in this lifetime. Lumiere asks what he means. Hiram tells her that he reincarnated and that in his past life, he was a demon king. He asks Lumiere if she knows about the demon king Hiram. Lumiere apologizes and says that she does not know any demon king by that name. Hiram tells her that it is understandable since it has been 500 years. He then says that he is a demon. He asks Lumiere if that is acceptable to her since he was the demon king. Lumiere replies that Hiram himself told her that there are good and bad people regardless of race, and that there must also be good and bad demons. She smiles and says that if he truly was the demon king, then he must be an expert in magic, and it would be great for her if he became her mentor. Lumiere bows to Hiram and asks him once again to teach her how to use magic. Hiram replies that he will teach her as much as he can. She also addresses him as master. Hiram asks her to drop the word master, since a human mentoring a princess would look suspicious to many. Lumiere tells him that she will just call him Hiram. Hiram agrees and then notices something strange outside the window. Lumiere asks Hiram if he would like to take a bath, since he must be tired from fighting and walking such a long distance. Hiram agrees and says that it sounds good to him. Outside the window, on a tree branch, a crow is sitting and keeping an eye on them. The crow flies off and heads straight toward a dark cave. Inside the cave, it lands on the shoulder of a man with demon-like horns. The strange man clenches his fist and mutters Hiram's name. Hiram is quietly sitting on his throne. Just then, he sees Filthy walking toward him. But before Filthy can reach him, the demon god appears out of nowhere and kills Filthy. Hiram suddenly wakes up from the dream. His whole body is covered in sweat. He looks out the window and finds Lumiere training with her sword. He then asks Yorm to wake up. Yorm tells him in a sleepy voice that elves make great beds. Hiram agrees and says that elves make far better beds than dragons. Lumiere enters their room and greets them with a good morning. After that, Hiram and Yorm have their breakfast. Hiram tells Lumiere that it seems like she always wakes up early. Lumiere asks them if they have planned anything for the day. Hiram replies that he does not have anything particular in mind and suggests that he should teach her some magic. Lumiere asks him if he really means that, and Hiram agrees. She tells him that she would love to do that. Both of them head to the garden. Hiram tells Lumiere that magic can largely be divided into two categories, and that she is already capable of using the type that acts on her own body. Lumiere asks him what he means. Hiram tells her that she could not have held her own against the Orc Lord with such a blunt sword. Lumiere realizes that she was using magic back then. Hiram explains that the reason people have called her incompetent is because she has not been able to cast spells that act externally, and that such magic will not be easy to master in a short time. He says that he will start with the basics. He asks Lumiere to stretch out both her arms and visualize the circulation of mana through her body and into her palms. Lumiere does exactly as he says. Lumiere has a good supply of high-quality mana, and her control over it is also quite good. That is why continuing with basic training seems to be the fastest way for her to wield magic as advanced as a hero's. 1 hour passes, and her whole body is now covered in sweat. She collapses on the ground. Hiram tells her that it is enough for the day. He tells her to make this part of her daily routine and that she can practice after lunch and dinner as well. He then looks up and says that there is still plenty of time left in the day and that he might as well use the opportunity to check out the town. Lumiere says with a smile that she wants to be his guide, as showing him around is also part of teaching him general knowledge. Hiram tells her that since she belongs to the royal family, she might draw too much attention. Lumiere tells him not to worry, as she will put on a disguise. Both Hiram and Jorm wait for Lumiere as she walks out of the mansion wearing a simple outfit. Hiram asks Lumiere if she is sure her disguise will work. Lumiere replies with a smile that her identity is safe whenever she goes out like that, and she also asks them to call her Lumi so people will not catch on. All three of them head into the main town. A child notices Lumiere and tells her mother that it is the princess. Her mother replies that since Lumiere is wearing such an outfit, it means she wants to keep her identity secret. Hiram looks around the town and says that it is surprisingly pleasant for a place dominated by elves. Lumiere replies that this area is where most of the rich residents live, but that not everything is as it seems. The two of them enter a nearby slum, and many humans surround Lumiere. Lumiere distributes bread among them with a smile, and all the children cheer up when they see her. Hiram notices a boy with a broken hand. He kneels down and tells the boy that he can heal his hand. He then uses healing magic to completely heal it. All the children are impressed by Hiram's actions. Just then, his eyes fall on a girl standing behind him. She looks at Jorm and says that he looks cute. Her words remind Hiram of Filthy. He recalls that Filthy also used to call Jorm a cute baby dragon. Hiram pats the girl's head and tells her that his name is Jorm. Jorm starts flying, and all the children nearby stare at him with excitement. Lumiere notices all of this and tells Hiram that he is very kind to children. Hiram replies that it might be because he sees Filthy in them. Lumiere asks him who Filthy is. Hiram replies that she is the girl he raised as his daughter in his previous life as a demon king, and that she was only 2 and 10 when he died. Lumiere asks him if he is still worried about her. Hiram replies that it has been 500 years, but he found out through a magical artifact that she is still alive somewhere, and since 500 years have passed, she must be very strong by now. Hiram looks toward the sky and says that he would do anything to see her once more. Just then, a lady walks up to Lumiere and thanks her for the help. She asks the lady how her husband is. The lady replies that her husband has fully recovered and that it is all thanks to Lumi. Just then, an old man walks up to Lumiere and tells her that he has a story to tell her. Lumiere apologizes to the old man and tells him that she agreed to show the town to Hiram. Hiram tells her that he does not mind being interrupted and that he is also learning a lot by watching her. Lumiere replies to Hiram that he is very kind. Jorm flies over to Hiram and tells him that Lumiere is eager to listen to everyone, but she does not seem able to solve everyone's problems. Hiram tells Jorm that she cannot solve everyone's problem. Jorm asks Hiram if that would not disappoint those who ask for help. Just then, Hiram hears an old man saying that the lord of their domain might have forgotten them, but the princess is always willing to lend an ear, and that she truly has a golden heart. Hiram walks over to the old man and says that he wants to ask him something. He asks the old man about Princess Lumiere. The old man replies that Princess Lumiere always goes out of her way to visit the slums and listen to everyone without ever showing even the slightest hatred toward humans, and that she also advocates for their needs by negotiating with their lord. The old man further says that if they tried to petition the lord directly, there is no way the lord would listen, and they could even end up in jail. Hiram asks the old man to tell him about the lord. The old man says that when their lord worked for the government, he exploited his position to fill his own pockets, and then used that money to bribe the chancellor for a lordship. The old man begs Hiram to protect Princess Lumiere since he is so strong. He also says that Lumiere is in a very dangerous position because the chancellor has his eye on her. Hiram asks the old man what he means by a dangerous position. The old man explains that the chancellor's daughter married the king and gave birth to the eldest prince, and that the chancellor will do anything to ensure that his grandson takes the throne. To the chancellor, the princess, who is popular among high-ranking nobles and common citizens alike, is an obstacle in his way. The old man also says that the chancellor assigned knights aligned with him to serve as the princess's subordinates in order to weaken her standing, and that the princess was appointed to this area because their lord belongs to the chancellor's faction. The old man informs him that the chancellor's supporters hold the reins of power in the royal palace, and after falling ill, even the king has become nothing more than the chancellor's puppet. Hiram thinks to himself that this means Lumiere has no allies in the royal palace. The old man then says that despite all that, the princess does everything she can to help them, and they cannot thank her enough. The old man bows to Hiram and asks him to take care of the princess. Hiram replies that he will do whatever he can. The old man thanks Hiram and tells him that the princess has no allies to rely on. The next day, they begin their magic training. This time, the princess is able to gather a small amount of mana in her palm. Hiram thinks to himself that her skills are improving at a very fast rate. Just then, the meal arrives along with juice. After drinking the juice, Yorm excitedly shouts that it is delicious. Lumiere looks at Yorm in shock and asks if he can talk. After that, Hiram tells Lumiere that Yorm is actually the ancient dragon she was supposed to kill, and that he realized a talking dragon would frighten the residents, so they kept it a secret. Lumiere asks Hiram if Yorm is really the creature from the mountain. Hiram agrees and says that he hopes she can treat him kindly. Lumiere pets Yorm and tells him that they are best friends. After that, Hiram and Jorm escort Lumiere to her work and then go for a walk around the town. Just then, Hiram notices a commotion nearby. He rushes over and finds a human child being kicked by elven soldiers. The child tells the elven soldiers that they only want to pass along a message to the princess. The elven soldiers shout at the child to get out of their sight. Hiram kicks one of the soldiers in the face and sends him flying. The child watches in shock and tells Hiram that he is very strong. Hiram replies that the soldiers were simply weak. He then asks the child what happened. The child tells him that a monster has appeared near the gates and is coming farther into the town, and that the roads have been blocked so nobody can escape. Hiram tells the child to lead the way, and the child guides him toward the monster. A huge and ferocious monster destroys the houses in the human slums. The humans plead with the elven soldiers to open the gates, or they will die at the hands of the monster. They beg them to think of their children, if not of themselves. Their lord walks to the front of the elven soldiers and tells the humans that the gates will remain shut and that the human population will die. The humans are shocked and ask the Lord how he could do something like that. The Lord replies with a smile that the lives of elves are far more valuable than those of humans. Just then, Hiram arrives and knocks out many of the Lord's soldiers. Hiram tells the Lord that if he does not care to protect his citizens, then he should quit being a lord. Hiram also tells the Lord that he should learn something from Lumiere. This makes the soldiers furious, as they say that an inferior being has no right to speak to their lord. They all strike at Hiram to cut him down, but Hiram punches the ground so hard that he sends all of them flying. The Lord becomes furious and says that Hiram dared mock the elves. He creates a huge fireball above him and shoots it at Hiram, but Hiram blocks it effortlessly with his bare hand. Hiram then grabs the Lord by the neck and tells him that if he can use magic, then he should go out and fight, since he could surely take down an orc lord with such power. The Lord replies that he is a noble elf and that he would never fight for lowly human peasants. Hiram tells him that he is truly hopeless and then throws him toward the monster. Hiram looks at the remaining soldiers and asks them if they are not going to help their lord. The soldiers look at each other, and Hiram realizes that they will do nothing, so he decides to save him instead. Just then, Lumiere arrives and tells Hiram that she will join him. The soldiers whisper among themselves that the princess is so incompetent that she is now accompanying a human. Lumiere clenches her fists and walks toward Hiram. Hiram grabs the gate and breaks it open in an instant, allowing all the humans to escape the slums. Lumiere asks if there is still anyone left inside. One of the children replies that everyone is safe thanks to them. After that, Hiram and Lumiere walk toward the huge monster. Hiram tells Lumiere that she can use the sword. Lumiere draws her sword and charges at the monster. The monster tries to crush Lumiere with a punch, but she dodges and charges again. The monster throws a barrage of punches at Lumiere. Lumiere focuses her mana and shifts it to her legs, then moves like a flash and cuts the monster's neck. Immediately after that, she shouts excitedly that she did it. Hiram tells her that she has grown much stronger, even though he has not taught her much at all. Lumiere tells him that she would not be there without his teachings. The children thank the princess for saving them and run toward her, but Hiram stops them and tells them that it is not over yet. A huge magic circle forms in the sky, and a dragon emerges from it. The dragon lands on the ground. Hiram tells Lumiere that it is a zombie elder dragon. Lumiere asks him what he means. Hiram explains that zombie dragons are foreign dragons whose souls have been forcibly bound to their corpses, turning them into undead monsters. He asks Yorm if the dragon is his acquaintance. Yorm refuses and says that he has never met any such dragon. Hiram then asks Lumiere if she can handle it. The dragon roars furiously. Lumiere charges at the dragon at full speed. Hiram tells the children to stay close to him because it is dangerous. Lumiere leaps toward the dragon, but the dragon tries to pin her down with its large claws. Lumiere lands on the dragon's tail and runs toward its neck. The dragon breathes flames, but Lumiere defends herself with her sword. She attempts to slash the dragon's neck, but the dragon dodges. Jorm says that Lumiere is slicing through the dragon's flames with only her sword and is not flinching even as the dragon roars. He also says that the dragon's rock-solid scales are like paper to a hero. Hiram tells Jorm that heroes are said to be the natural enemies of dragons, so there is not much for him to do. Jorm replies that this is exactly why he hates heroes. The dragon attacks the princess with its tail, sending sand flying. Lumiere lands on the terrace of a house. The dragon then turns toward Hiram and the children and attacks them with fire, but Hiram blocks the flames with a magic barrier. He then converts the fire into chains, binds the dragon, and pins it to the ground. Lumiere seizes the opportunity and slices through the dragon's neck in an instant. As she lands on the ground, she hears the dead dragon's voice expressing gratitude. Lumiere looks at the dragon and tells it that it can rest in peace. Hiram walks over to Lumiere and tells her that he truly witnessed a wonderful display of skill. All the children run to Lumiere and excitedly tell her that she did it. The children also thank Hiram for protecting them. Hiram tells them that he does not deserve praise and that they should save it for the princess. Lumiere asks the children if they are all right. As everyone enjoys the moment, Hiram tells Jorm that this was another trap designed to kill Lumiere and that if he had not been around, it would have succeeded. Jorm asks Hiram if he thinks Lumiere would have come running on her own. Hiram replies that Lumiere would have defied the Lord's instructions and gone to fight the Orc Lord, after which the zombie dragon would have gone on a rampage. Hiram then walks over to the Elven Lord sitting nearby and scratching his head in confusion. Hiram says that something is definitely not right. He uses his magic and notices a curse cast on the Lord. Jorm asks Hiram why someone would curse the Lord. Hiram replies that it was likely done to silence him, and that this type of magic is used by demons. Hiram tells Jorm that they should leave since there is no point in trying to get information from the Lord. The next morning, Lumiere runs to Hiram with exciting news. She tells him that her father has summoned him to the royal capital. Hiram says that he does not think he has done anything worthy of a reward and asks how the news traveled so fast. Lumiere explains that they use magical tools for communication. Hiram thinks to himself that there must be a reason things are moving this quickly. He tells Lumiere that he will only go on the condition that she accompanies him, since he does not want anyone targeting her while he is away. Lumiere tells him that she has been assigned to guide him around the capital and will definitely accompany him. Hiram replies that in that case, he will accept the invitation. Lumiere heads inside the mansion to make the necessary preparations. Jorm asks Hiram if he is sure about this, as it feels like a trap. Hiram replies that he thinks the same, but regardless of who is behind it, he wants to see how they plan to proceed. After Princess Lumiere prepares the carriage, Hiram puts on his coat and tells Jorm that it is time to go. Somewhere in the darkness, a demon woman sits on a throne and asks her subordinate for a report. One of her subordinates reports that Hiram has reincarnated as a human. The woman asks if he is certain. The subordinate replies confidently that he is, and addresses her as Queen Irmgard. Another subordinate expresses disbelief that Hiram reincarnated as a human, while another adds that reincarnation magic is extremely advanced and that it is unbelievable Hiram chose the human race. One subordinate warns that Hiram's return could cause conflict within their ranks. Another subordinate recommends killing him and asks the queen to leave the task to him, since the kingdom of Artevale is under his jurisdiction. Queen Irmgard assigns the task and orders the subordinate to kill Hiram and bring his head to her. She then walks to the balcony and declares that a weak Hiram is not the great Hiram she once knew. Lumiere wakes up in the middle of the night. She finds Hiram standing alone and holding the pendant toward the sky. Lumiere walks over to him. Lumiere tells him that it is not the case, then asks him what he was doing. Hiram replies that he was trying to search for Filthy using the pendant. Lumiere asks if he was able to locate her. Hiram replies that it is not as easy as it seems. Lumiere tells him that he must not lose heart and that she is sure he will reunite with Filthy someday, and she will help him in any way she can. Hiram says that he would really appreciate that. He then tells her that they should get some sleep, since they will reach the capital in the morning. Jorm looks out of the carriage, and his eyes fall on delicious food. Lumiere tells Hiram that she has a little sister in the capital, and that she would like to introduce her to them. They walk into a huge mansion. Hiram asks Lumiere if this is her personal residence. She denies it and tells him that it is an estate that belongs to the royal family, and that her sister currently lives there. Hiram asks her why her sister does not live in the royal palace. Lumiere replies that it is because she fell ill and left the palace to recover her strength here. Hiram asks Lumiere about the servants. Lumiere replies that all of them seem very capable. Hiram asks if they previously served at the palace. Lumiere agrees and tells him that they were dispatched to work here. Hiram asks if that is the reason they are trained fighters. Lumiere replies that she believes only the guards have received combat training. They enter a room where Lumiere's little sister is resting. Lumiere's little sister, Saren, suddenly sits up, and her face brightens when she sees Lumiere. Lumiere instantly hugs her in happiness. Cyrene tells Lumiere that she is glad she is back. Lumiere replies that she is also happy to see her, and that it is a relief that Cyrene is doing well. Cyrene notices Yorm and Hiram standing behind Lumiere and asks about them. Lumiere introduces Hiram and Yorm to Saren. Cyrene gets down from the bed and tries to bow and introduce herself. Her eyes then fall on Yorm, and she asks Hiram if it is a dragon. Hiram tells Cyrene that it is an ancient dragon. This excites Saren, and she asks if it is like the ones from fairy tales. Yorm asks Cyrene if she is not scared of him. Cyrene becomes even more excited upon realizing that Yorm can talk. Yorm replies that he is one of the most impressive ancient dragons around. Cyrene tells Yorm that it is amazing, since ancient dragons are supposed to be frightening, but for some reason, she feels comfortable around him. Yorm flies over to Cyrene and tells her that he will grant her special permission to pet him. He lies down on Saren's lap as she pats his back. Cyrene then asks Lumiere where she met Hiram. Lumiere tells her that Hiram rescued her from monsters and bandits near Job's home. Cyrene asks Lumiere to tell her more about the journey. As Lumiere continues telling her everything, Cyrene falls asleep. Lumiere covers her with a blanket and tells Hiram that she has not seen her sleep so peacefully in a long time. Hiram tells Lumiere that he is sure Saren's health will improve with rest. Lumiere tells Hiram that the doctor believes it will be difficult for her to recover. Hiram replies that it is true that Cyrene is affected by a special illness and wonders if the doctor does not understand how it works. He adds that while he is not an expert in medicine, he is familiar with Saren's condition and tells Lumiere not to worry. He casts magic around the room and then tells Lumiere that Saren's room is very special. Suddenly, a guard arrives and informs Lumiere that the dinner preparations are complete. Yorm tells them that he is getting sleepy and will stay in the room to rest next to Saren. Lumiere asks Yorm if he will not join them for dinner. Yorm replies that he does not need to eat since he is a dragon. Hiram looks at Yorm and signals with his eyes that he is counting on him. Yorm replies with a look of his own, indicating that something seems suspicious about the servants and that he will keep watch and ensure Saren's safety. After they finish their dinner, Lumiere asks Hiram if he would like to take a bath. Hiram replies that he would not mind freshening up before bed after all the travel. As he walks to the bathroom, one of the servants asks Hiram to allow him to assist. Hiram replies that he does not need any servant while bathing. This is his first time being alone since coming to the mansion. He senses someone approaching and wonders if it is an assassin. Hiram suddenly gets up to see who it is, but he finds that it is none other than Lumiere. He grabs Lumiere by the shoulder and turns her around, then asks her what the matter is. He thinks to himself that since Lumiere purposely came into the bathroom, it must mean there is something she can only discuss in private. He asks Lumiere if something is troubling her. Lumiere tells him that there is one thing she wants to ask of him. She requests him to look after Saren. Hiram asks if she is afraid that something might happen to her. Lumiere replies that she is not sure, but if anything happens to her, then there would be no one left for Cyrene to rely on, and that is the reason she wants his help. Hiram tells her that she can count on him. Lumiere asks him to promise that he will protect Cyrene no matter what happens to her. Hiram replies that he will protect her, even if nothing happens to Lumiere. Lumiere says that she feels relieved after hearing that. After that, Hiram walks out of the bathroom, thinking that Lumiere has no allies in the royal palace and cannot rely on her father either, and that must be the reason she turned to him for help. The servant standing outside the bathroom asks Hiram how the bath was. Hiram replies that it was marvelous. He thinks to himself that the servants have eyes and ears everywhere outside the bath. Another servant hands him a glass and pours him wine, saying that it must have made him thirsty. They then show him to his bedroom, which is very similar to a prison cell. After the servants leave, Hiram says that the mansion's main purpose must have been to confine people, since Cyrene is essentially confined there. After a while, he feels sleepy as he lies on the bed, realizing that it must be the effect of the water. Now it is time for him to find out how the enemy will approach. He closes his eyes and pretends to fall asleep. A person in a cloak slowly opens the door and walks toward Hiram. The person takes out the sword and holds it upside down above Hiram. The person in the cloak tries to stab Hiram with a sword, but it stops just above him. Hiram opens his eyes and remarks that thrusting a blade at him takes a lot of courage from someone attacking from behind. Hiram sits up on his bed and tells that person that there is no need to apologize. The person in the cloak is none other than Lumiere. Hiram holds the sword and asks her why she stopped in the middle, since she is more than capable of piercing through his body with her strength. Lumiere steps back, takes out another sword, and points it toward herself. She apologizes to Hiram and asks him to take care of Saren, but before she can stab the sword into her chest, Hiram sends it flying away with a single slap. He then asks Lumiere if the Chancellor is behind this. After seeing Lumiere's expression, he says that he is right. He also asks her if the Chancellor is using Cyrene as a hostage and has ordered her to kill him. Lumiere tells him that Cyrene will die from her illness without a rare medicine, and the only one who can make it is a doctor under the Chancellor's command, so she could not defy the order to eliminate him since Saren's life is in his hands. But there is no way she could ever carry out such a mission. Hiram asks Lumiere if she was planning to sacrifice herself by pretending to obey the Chancellor and then make it look like she was killed by him while fighting back. Lumiere apologizes to Hiram. Hiram smiles and tells her not to worry. He also tells her not to worry about Saren's condition. Lumiere asks him what he means. Hiram explains that Saren's illness was caused by a combination of a curse and malicious spells, and he realized this the moment he entered her room, which is why he touched everything as he walked around and took the opportunity to dispel every trace of that malevolent magic. Hiram asks Lumiere if she is not aware of how powerful his healing magic is, and also asks if she trusts him. Lumiere replies with tears in her eyes that she does. Hiram then tells Lumiere to leave everything to him and that he will protect both her and Saren. Suddenly, many knights barge into Hiram's room, and one of them announces that they have received news of a disturbance and that Princess Lumiere will be detained on suspicion of attempting to assassinate the king's invited guest. Hiram tells them not to barge into his room and speak such nonsense. The knight replies that they have been ordered by royal authority to detain Lumiere and that Hiram must not interfere. Hiram says that he would like to escort her, since she only needs to be brought before the king. This makes the knights furious, and they draw their swords. Hiram commands them to stand down in a very heavy tone, and all the knights instantly bow as they feel immense pressure from above. Hiram tells Lumiere to grab her sword and come with him. He says that they were planning to see the king the next day anyway, so there is nothing wrong with going to him immediately. He also tells her that they can ride on Yorm's back to reach the king faster. Lumiere tells Hiram that Saren's room is surrounded by assassins pretending to be guards. Hiram replies that he already knows. Lumiere asks how he knows as they enter Saren's room, where they find Yorm killing all the soldiers while protecting Saren. Hiram tells Yorm that he did good work. Yorm tells Hiram that Cyrene does not have a scratch on her. Hiram asks Cyrene how she is feeling. Cyrene replies excitedly that her stomach and head do not hurt anymore. Hiram pats Cyrene and tells her that it is still nighttime and they will talk more the next day. After that, Cyrene falls asleep again on Lumiere's lap. Hiram tells Lumiere that Saren's illness is no longer a danger to her life, and that all she needs is enough rest to recover her strength. Lumiere's eyes fill with tears as she tells Hiram that she can never thank him enough. Jorm asks Hiram if something is on his mind. Hiram replies that he thinks the Chancellor may not be their only enemy. Jorm asks what he means. Hiram explains that the Chancellor felt threatened by Lumiere gaining a powerful ally, so he summoned her to the royal capital to force her into carrying out an assassination. He adds that the Chancellor would not care whether Lumiere succeeded or failed, because if she failed, his problem would be solved immediately, and if she succeeded, she would be arrested for killing him. Lumiere apologizes again to Hiram. Hiram tells her that it is not her fault, and that they should assume the Chancellor has teamed up with a demon. Both Yorm and Lumiere are shocked to hear this. Jorm asks Hiram what makes him think that. Hiram replies that the zombie dragon they fought appeared through a teleportation circle, magic that does not exist in this kingdom but does exist in the demon lands, and that the curse and malicious spells cast on Saren's room are also demon magic. He concludes that it is reasonable to believe the Chancellor has allied himself with a demon, and not just any demon, but a high-ranking one. Lumiere says that she cannot believe the Chancellor is working with a demon. Hiram places a hand on Lumiere's shoulder and tells her not to worry, because he is going to pay the Chancellor a visit and settle everything once and for all. He then asks Lumiere if she can wait with Saren. Lumiere refuses and says that she wants to go with him since this is her kingdom. Hiram asks her one last thing, then creates a magic barrier around Saren. He tells them that it is time to visit the Chancellor, and asks Yorm to give them a ride. Yorm says that he is excited to go with Hiram. Both Hiram and Lumiere climb onto Yorm's palm as he flies toward the Chancellor.